Good morning, everybody. I'm Inga Cotton, and I'm online for Charter Moms Chats. And today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and today is Earth Day. And so I wanted to talk about sort of how we feel about nature, how we're celebrating nature um, during a time when we have to stay at home for safety. But I think there are a lot of ways where um, we appreciate nature more because we've kind of been forced to um, slow down a little bit. So, first of all, I want to ask if you're not already a member of the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group. I hope you will join. We've got a thread going that our moderator Becca started talking about ways we're just reminding everybody that it's Earth Day and you know talk about how we're recognizing it. Um, so when let's see if you follow on social media, you've seen that my kids and I have kind of a habit of going on walks, and so on a weekday, typically we'll go on a late afternoon walk in our neighborhood, and it's been just really a joy to like see the seasons change, and it feels like during a typical like on a typical school day, it's hard to find the time to go out in the neighborhood and take a walk together. Um, but lately we have, and um, also since our options are kind of limited, like we used to go to a lot of places like the indoor trampoline places, or like if it was rainy, we'd go mall walking, or even so. One of our favorite places is at the San Antonio Museum of Art. They have a sky bridge that connects the two towers of the building used to be the old Lone Star Brewery, and they have a glassed in sky bridge that connects the two towers. And if you go up through the Egyptian section, like through the Asian art, there's a really cool stairway that takes you up like 4 or 5 flights of stairs up to the sky bridge. And so on a rainy day, we love to like go to Sama, we've got our membership, go upstairs and then go up to the sky bridge, and it has this beautiful view. If you look to the north, you can see the Pearl and Monte Vista, and up towards the airport. If you look south, you can see the beautiful downtown skyline. Can you tell I miss it? I miss it. I miss our museums. Um, so those are, we have our favorite places to stretch, but a lot of those places are closed. So our best bet is walking in the neighborhoods. We also like going to the Greenway Trails system, and those have been open throughout. Um, so despite the stay-at-home order, the trails are still open. So even though so over Easter weekend the parks were closed, the parks have reopened. During the playgrounds are still closed because if you know what kids are like, they do tend to spread germs on playgrounds because they touch stuff, and then they might put their hands in their mouth, or like young kids, they let's be honest, sometimes they lick things. It's kind of gross, but it's true. When they get older, they learn not to do that, but with very young kids, they're just impulsive and they just want to taste everything. So yeah, it's just that stage of life. We've all been there. So yeah, parks and playgrounds are still closed. Exercise equipment is closed. Basketball courts are closed. Splash pads are closed. But nature is still open, right? So I mean, the Greenway trails are a great way to see that. And this week, the state parks reopened. But there are some rules about state parks. You have to have an online reservation in advance, and if you haven't already, I would say consider getting a parks pass. Wait, I got mine over here. Hang on a second. Okay, so here's my recommendation: get yourself a Texas State Parks pass, and then when you go to the online reservation system, you just so there's no camping, but you can still get day passes and you can reserve it ahead of time. And the entry fees are included if you have the state parks pass. Um, so I just want to be some state parks are still closed and some have certain rules. So for example, if you drive down to the coast, in Corpus, some of the beaches are still closed. South Padre, the beaches are closed. Um, I would be cautious about going to kind of the watering holes because it's just harder to keep distance there. But so we're aiming for. I've heard good things about if you go to the parks that are where it's a trail where you go hiking, that people are still spread out. So, but you gotta remember to bring your mask or actually. So my daughter and I are sewing some masks. So when we make a little more progress on our mask project, I'll get you guys an update on the mask. um, so now around town, we are supposed to wear masks when we're outside if we can't necessarily practice social distancing. But there's an exception for exercising, and there's also an exception for kids who are younger than 10 years old. So, those are just anyway, just some tips about how to enjoy nature because um, it's really good to get exercise for your health. It's really good for your well-being just to get out of the house and get to see some sunshine and see flowers blooming, hear the birds. Um, I just encourage you to do that, and it's a good way to spend time with your family. Um, I mean, depending on what your neighborhood's like, maybe some people have posted pictures in their windows or put stuffed animals out, or maybe they've drawn in sidewalk chalk on their driveways or their front steps, and maybe you can bring some chalk and leave some happy messages. Put something in your driveway so that when people walk by, they can see it. Um, those are those little reminders that we're still part of a community, and we're still part of a team. um, so I guess there's sort of bigger picture, like Earth Day reminds us that we depend on nature for our well-being, and coronavirus is scary because it's a virus that crossed over from from animals to humans, and so none of us have immunity to it, and we don't scientists and doctors don't really know how to treat it or how it plays out. So that's what's been so scary about figuring out how to respond to it. And it's kind of humbling, that nature still has, has lots of surprises, and then even with all our scientific knowledge, we're still making educated guesses about what the course of the pandemic will be like. So you know there are I've seen some amazing pictures on social media of like cities that have clearer skies because we're not driving as much. And it does make you wonder. I was talking to a friend of mine about how much commuting and how much business travel really was essential, and how much have we been able to get by without it. And I wonder, now that so many more people have experienced working from home, and maybe their bosses said it was impossible, and now we've discovered it's not impossible. I mean, there's great benefits to our well-being of being able to like see our coworkers, and you know, um, I know some of my friends who work in politics, they really miss, be able to like, shake hands and slap people on the back and, just read people's body language. But then again, maybe there are some things that we really didn't need to travel for. Maybe we can long term, cut our mileage, or, think about ways to improve our air quality. So if we can all breathe better, then maybe we can all be healthier and, better able to withstand things like this. Um, so there's I've seen some pretty funny like fake pictures of like, okay, there are no dolphins in the San Antonio River. I know there's some bottom feeding fish, and there's some turtles and things, but no dolphins. But without so many barges moving on the river, sometimes the water looks surprisingly clear. And it just reminds us, humans do have an impact on nature every day, and some things that we thought were a given, maybe things don't have to be that way. Maybe as business restarts and as people kind of go back to their lives, we can be more thoughtful about what impact we're having on nature. But we definitely do need to get people back to work. Just before this chat, I was listening on the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce Education and Workforce committee, which normally has a monthly meeting that meets on the north side, and they talk about workforce development and economic development, and what's happening in our schools. And the meeting today was SA 2020 presenting their new dashboards about what are the needs that nonprofits have, and then also like in workforce development, talking about how to transition people to new careers, because San Antonio depends so much on tourism and the hospitality sector, and those businesses may not reopen for a while. It's one thing to be able to drive by a restaurant and do a pickup order, or go to a state park and go on a hike, and those things they're limited, but they're safe. And there's signs that Texas is gradually reopening in ways that will still keep us safe. But as far as, like, I don't really see any conventions happening anytime soon. Those are can be super spreading events, and until we have really widespread testing or some kind of vaccine, it's hard to imagine people being willing to travel for something like that. Um, so that's going to have an impact on the economy in San Antonio, um, and that impacts people's lives. So you know So it's I mean, it's a little bit of a somber Earth Day. Humans have been kind of been taken down a notch by the vaccine. So, but I look for signs of hope. SC 2020 is showing, how businesses are adapting their charitable contributions to help, with relief to, serve immediate needs. And I see people around San Antonio being creative and working to help each other, to lift each other's spirits, and also to take care of those needs. And we've talked about it before. It's really important that we get more and more people access to high speed internet so that they can safely work from home, and so that their kids can, continue to get educated and get some tea. There's some things that maybe before the crisis, we thought, that would be an important thing to do, but we'll do it later. It's like, well, later came, and we were not prepared. So, um, yeah, there's more we can do to get people connected so that they can safely keep working and keep getting educated. Um, but while keep doing social distancing for as long as we need to. Um, so yeah, this is a different Earth Day, but I would encourage you to build it into your sort of schedule. I have friends with very young children, and I know for them it's really hard to maintain routines. I remember what it was like when each of my kids were newborns, and you really have to respond to their immediate needs. And you can try to set up a schedule, but the schedule has to sometimes just goes out the window. But to the extent that you can, habits are ways to help us make good choices without having to think it through every time, right? So if you have a habit of, like, oh, it's 3 p.m., it's time for my walk, and then you go out in the neighborhood and enjoy the fresh air, and see the flowers that were just buds, and now the flowers are busting out. It's not the same maybe as going to Fiesta and having a flower crown, but you can admire the wildflowers in the median on the road, or the roses blooming in your neighbor's yard. And you know, I'm also seeing a lot more like gardening and backyard chickens happening. I've seen like Facebook groups pop up where experienced gardeners are supporting kind of newbies as they plant stuff. I'm seeing lots of, like, garden beds being filled with compost, and new plants popping up. Um, and that's great because it feeds your family, but it's a good, like, science lesson for your kids. And I see people having a lot of fun with their chickens. See a lot of, like, people posing with their chickens on social media. I think this is a good trend. So yeah, and then all the produce you harvest, you can go do some cooking, right? So all these skills we're learning as we recognize that humans are part of nature. We're dependent on nature, and we need to take good care of nature. Sometimes nature slaps us back, like with new viruses. But we need to have a strong relationship with nature in the future. So okay, so those are my thoughts on Earth Day. Yeah, I hope you'll chime in with your comments. Please be a part of the discussion at the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group. And let's see what's coming up. So tomorrow, I won't be on my page. I will be at I'll be talking to Chris Stewart, also known as Citizen Stewart, on the Citizen Ed page. So I'll share that page in the group so you can tune in, and I'll share the stream after we do it. I don't know exactly what he wants to talk about, but Chris always has provocative ideas and good questions. So I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I got to meet him in person last fall. He was along with the other team members of the Eight Black Hands podcast. They were at the Texas Charter Schools Conference up at the JW Marriott. Um, so it'll be fun to talk to him. And then on Friday, we have a guest on Charter Moms Chats. We have Becky Davenport, who's a family therapist. And so we've got mental health is a really important topic to me, and it's something that I think is on all of our minds as we're kind of cooped up together in ways that we've never really been before. And we want to have strong family relationships through that. So those are some things coming up on Charter Moms Chats. And thanks for being here. I'll talk to you soon.